More performances ever.
ESPN Radio nights and weekends only on 1590 KVGB and 95.5 FM.
Sports Day is brought to you by Barton Community College. Explore your future and get started now. Visit gobarton.com.
Okay, Sports Day in 3, 2, 1.
A swing and a drive, right field and deep. Beckett goes, deep it goes, and gone. Galloway, 2-out, 3-run homer. Joey Gallo, his third straight at bat with an extra base hit. Back-to-back home runs for Gallo.
Yeah, sure. I mean, if those guys are on base, it's easier to score runs. Salvi swung the bat well. That's an easy one to say. I mean, if they're on, we're going to have a better chance to score.
It's early in the season. It's 3 games in. I still think, everyone's eager for it. Some really good games this series.
Morris has to get it across. Kim Mulkey.
Impact that I can have on young kids and the people in the state of Iowa. And I hope I brought them a lot of joy this season. I hope this team brought them a lot of joy.
And over Golden. Wow, back down to 1 and a timeout called again quickly. With 5 to shoot, taken on, and it's blocked. Pulled down by Mensah. They have the 1 timeout. Are they going to take it or not? They don't have the scorers on the floor. It's Butler with 2 seconds. He's got to put it up. And he wins it. He wins it with the jumper. A San Diego State miracle.
He's got to make it a rock fight. He's got to make it a half-court game. And that's who San Diego State is. Not going to be easy. Connecticut has an identity of their own. They've got toughness. They've got size, length, skill. And they are an elite defensive team as well.
And welcome to Sports Day on 1590 KVGB, 95.5 FM, the talk of the town. Welcome in to the Monday Sports Day show. Steve Webster with you for the first time in a month and a half. I have all 4 microphones pushed down because Mike Hesher is back on the program. On the show today, we will be talking with his first appearance on the show as our KVGB High School track insider, Mike Corson.
Hands free today. Got the boss, one of the bosses back.
It's the same row, 3 against me over there, because Aaron Clark is in here as well.
It feels weird. I'm back on my end cap over here. I'm kind of exposed. I'm full in view of the camera. It's woo. Yeah, I can see you looking at me now. We'll have to get used to this.
It's good to have Hesh back today because you guys grew in your radio knowledge. Mine didn't grow at all because really I just try to stay away from that side, except the one day I did have to get the camera going and everything, but I didn't finish it. I just started it. So
I think we heard where my radio knowledge went. I'm decent with the computer, but keep me on this side.
Okay, everybody's back. We're all back here today. Okay, and Mizunas is going to be in here today, and then Mike Corson. This is the Mike Corson show here. What? He's going to be talking more track and field with Lyles Lashley. They had a rather eventful day in Junction City on Friday.
Yeah, we knew it was going to be windy, but hail.
Back in my day, they wouldn't have stopped that thing.
Just put some helmets on. Well, it's just a little bit of extra hydration falling from the sky when you're running. Catch one, pop it in your mouth, and stay hydrated while you're going.
Exactly.
The distance runners had to be thrilled.
We have our sounds the past 24 hours. That's how we'll start the show today. The call on the Treasure Island Radio Network. Joey Gallo hits his second home run of the game. To right field scored Trevor Larnach and Kyle Farmer in the top of the 7th inning. Twins beat the Royals 7-4 to complete a 3-game sweep at Kauffman Stadium. It was the Twins' first time they've swept an opening series since 2017. By the way, they did that against the Royals.
Shocking.
Royals failed to score the first 2 games, but they got things going in the second. Edward Olivares hit a home run. That broke a 19-inning scoreless streak, the team's longest drought to start a season in franchise history. And the Kansas City trio of M.J. Melendez, Bobby Witt Jr., Vinny Pasquantino going to combine 1 for 28 with 10 strikeouts to start their second-year campaigns. Matt Quatrero saying, yeah, that's kind of an easy one to answer. If those guys aren't getting on base, it's probably going to be hard to score. Brad Keller got the start for KC, went 4 2/3, giving up 2 earned runs, 5 hits, 4 walks, Fanning 6. They'll get it turned around after the first 3 games. Mike Hesher was not here to make his predictions, and I'm sure he's looked over him now, and I'm not going to let him make any predictions now on what his win total for will be. But if you look at those numbers, Mike Hesher, go ahead and read them down. Who picked what? And then you tell us which one you think will come to fruition the most.
I do have a text message that I was talking to a listener, and I came up with 71, which would be the lowest of all of them up there.
No, it would not.
Aaron's 56.
I was going to say, get out of here.
Aaron's 56.
I came in with immaculate positivity that day.
Our first response was 162, and that was before they played. So,
Still
are they
on
going to
pace.
challenge their 19-game losing streak to start the season like they did several years ago?
No.
Brady Singer's going to pitch at some point.
They have to score.
1-0. Let's say, let's spin it. Man, those Twins look good. Those guys could go places this year. Could be the top team.
Maybe they're playing the top team. Maybe it's a competition.
The good news is baby steps. 2 hits the first game, 4 hits the second game. Finally get to run. Finally get some hits.
Did you say 87 and 75? What have you been drinking, Corson?
I tried to amend it later, but he wouldn't let me. He had to counteract my guess. We're just that we have an even-keeled show, balanced both ways, one way or another.
You know, it's easy to sit here and just bash the Royals, right? But what a catastrophe, really. I know it's the first 3 games of the season. They could get going. I mean, we talked about getting off to a good start was important for them more so than other teams because they're not going to be able to make that up later on in the year. You probably don't think, but you get a new manager in there. You talk the whole, 5 weeks of spring training talking about the new mentality, the new thoughts, the new coaching. Quatrero, the new owners wanting to get a new stadium built downtown, and then you go out and just, I mean, that's about as bad as it could get. I think they'll rebound, although Toronto's in town tonight. But, man, what a disastrous opening weekend.
If you want to spin it, though, only gave up 2 runs each of the first 2 games. The pitching wasn't bad.
No, I agree.
And listening to some post-game up there, 38,000 people in the stands the first day. And I know it was an egg, but no environment whatsoever. And like they talk about, hey, those fans have been burned since 2015. You're going to have to win some games to build excitement, which kind of feeds itself. So right now it's the worst of the worst. The fans, they showed up, but they weren't overly interested. And maybe neither
John
would the
Sherman,
hitters.
what kind of funding mechanism is he looking at? Is he looking to build that all with his own money? Because that's not a good way to.
I was going to say public interest has to be high to get funds to do things for the team. And if you're not winning games, public interest not going to necessarily be as high as you want.
Well, we'll see if they can turn it around tonight. Royals and the Blue Jays.
Brady
right here
Singer.
at 6. How many innings can he go?
They're talking a max of 5, so hopefully he's efficient.
Okay. Early returns on the rule changes?
I
love it.
A 2-hour and 14-minute game on Saturday, you got to love that. That's like the old days.
The one thing I don't like, I wish they would take the clock off the screen. I don't want to see the clock. If they get the violation, they get the violation. I don't need more anxiety in my life. And every time it's like, whoa, whoa. Just tune How do it you feel out. about being able to see the play? How do you feel about being able to see the play clock in football? Is that the same kind of anxiety for you? It's not as frequent. I mean, these guys. That's fair. In baseball, they are taking it down into those waning seconds a lot more often than you get the play clock ticking
I
off.
think we're seeing the extinction of the fat pitcher. Well, but you just can't keep going like that if you're not
No more
in shape.
Bartolo Colon. So we want more runners on the bases too, but now we're going to penalize the batter if that guy doesn't hustle down after a foul ball. So that was an unintended consequence that I didn't think of was the guy on first base who takes off every time has to hightail it back to first base.
Exactly.
Well, he
He's a
can't do that
professional
too many
athlete.
times.
He should be able to.
This
It's
is
70 degrees now. It's
yeah.
going to be 105 in a couple months.
Oh, these poor fellas.
Oh,
Here-
babies. Take your $10 million check.
Yeah, I'll go run.
Dr. Doom is back.
All right, the call on ABC yesterday, LSU winning its first basketball title in school history. They overcame Caitlin Clark and Iowa. Just hang on a second. We'll let you get to that because I want to find out all the explosion that's happened this morning as a result of this game. 102-85. Kim Mulkey, first woman's coach to win a national championship at two different schools, of course, winning at Baylor. Caitlin Clark scored 30 points to finish the tournament with 191. She was not the MVP of the Final Four. Broke Cheryl Swoop's record of 177 that was set in 1993. I'm going to say this because I was, at one time in my career, I knew everything about women's basketball because you covered it, right? Lindsay Whalen of Minnesota was the best player I ever saw. And they talk about, well, this is going to bring women's basketball. I saw her play against K-State in front of 17,000 people at Williams Arena at the University of Minnesota. It was an NCAA tournament game. It's going to tell me that all of a sudden they know about women's basketball a lot. But as the years went by, I kind of forgot why I really liked the game, and you saw everything in it on Friday night. I actually got an LOL back from Corson. That's all he sent me because I said, man, I'm hooked. This is. It was the best game I've ever seen. Best game performance by somebody. Every play she made in that game against South Carolina, and they had a 6-7 out there. And there were pick and rolls. There were passes. There were threes. They were moving and up and down the court. And that was a wonderful basketball game. And, let's just talk about that because everything that people are talking about today or even yesterday was about completely everything different than that game. Tell me about the game.
Well, actually, I texted you a 101. I thought they were going to score 101. Real quick on Kim Mulkey, though. She was 3-0 in national title games, so you can get past the wardrobe. Now she's 4-0. She's as I said.
We're not talking about the game,
Getcha.
The game, Friday.
Yeah, like you said, the pick and rolls. If you leave Caitlin Clark open for a second, I don't even think Steph Curry can shoot as fast or as in motion as she does.
On the run?
The ones on the run are the most impressive. So the big girl would come out, set the pick. If that other big girl stepped out to guard the shot, it was a roll. Otherwise, it was a shot. It was as beautifully executed as you can imagine. I don't know where that went Saturday.
And then I thought at halftime that Iowa was smoked. They got out to a good lead. They looked tired to me, especially the big girl, as you said, who was doing the pick and rolls and running up and down. She was pink at halftime. But they jumped out to another big lead in the second half and then held on to win it. Tremendous game.
And they looked by far the dominant team of the last couple weeks, which made I didn't actually anticipate a very good game Saturday, and I was right, but not
just in the opposite way. Yeah, exactly. I was kind of like you. Didn't think the LSU Tigers put up as good a fight against either Iowa Hawkeyes or South Carolina, but props to the Tigers, come out and won it in convincing fashion.
Yeah, does it again. So then we get what happened in the game. I did not watch yesterday's game, nor did I DVR it. You were out enjoying the day and then came back and made sure you didn't find out who won the game, so then you watched it.
Mostly listened to it, but I have seen highlights. So, yeah, the Angel Reese was the big star for LSU. Part of the reason I like or don't like Caitlin Clark is she runs her mouth a fair bit on the court, but I don't ever think it's ill-intentioned. She'll question the officials, or she goes to the crowd and gets fired up. Yeah,
that was such a questionable tee.
She'd been chirping the whole. She chirped on Friday night too. Raising your arms up in the air.
That wasn't what the technical was. That was she was kind of sending a ball back towards the baseline. And I guess she just did that a little too aggressively for their liking.
So what happened? What Friday night she did the John Cena "you can't see me" thing, but it was to the crowd. It was not directed at another player. But when they got beat up Saturdays, old Angel threw it back in her face a little bit, like directly.
Was this while the game, or is this?
I believe it was in the waning moments.
So we've seen this all go. It's now turned into another black and white issue. Is that? right? What you're seeing today.
I've seen a little of that. To me, it is apples and oranges because Caitlyn never did it to somebody's face. So, but they're saying, why did she get away with it and this girl didn't? Well, it was two different types of behavior. So I don't. But yeah, that's the easy argument to make.
That's how we spin things today, man. And then people were excited. I mean, you look at the men's Final Four. The ticket prices. Although that turned out to be pretty good.
So what they're saying is, yeah, I agree with you. There was a big push for women's basketball, 10, 15 years ago?
Yeah.
It went into a lull. I haven't watched it for quite a while since K-State's glory run. Caitlyn almost single-handedly brought it back. The crowd was great. And then you have the little bit of the antics on the court. A lot of people are complaining about the officiating. So they said this was your marquee game, and
there was
But yeah, it's all now. It's not even about the game or the Final Fours. It's turned into a racial issue, and now it's turned into, well, this will be the growth of. Remember when COVID was going on and the MISL came back on, or whatever it's called now, and they said, boy, this is a big break because soccer will grow now because there's no other sports being played, and soccer's on national television now. It's just going to take over.
Crazily enough, I had that on this weekend. Couldn't go. I'm a soccer guy, and I couldn't watch 5 minutes. Real quick on Kim Mulkey. Imagine you go to Grandma's house. Grandma, what kind of cookies did you bake me? Kim Mulkey looks at her watch. You're 30 seconds late. Get out there and run. Heck of a coach, but
she coaches hard.
A lot of people don't like her. I said she's kind of the Coach K of women's basketball. Always got to be doing something. Always got to be complaining. But push come to shove, she beat a really good Iowa team.
Yes, she did. Oh, and I didn't know this, but let's see. This is for you, Mike. I didn't play this. I planned on it, but I didn't. So here's your girl after winning it.
I get to coach at an institution that is internationally known. Those 3 letters, LSU, there's no mistake what they stand for. Louisiana State University.
What does LSU mean in Turkey?
Louisiana State University.
Okay.
Allegedly.
Just like she said. All right, Jim Nantz had an unbelievable call. Lamont Butler made a jumper at the buzzer, sending San Diego State to its first national championship game. 72-71 over FAU. Tonight they'll face UConn. Ran past another NCAA tournament opponent. They dispatched Miami 72-59. ESPN Seth Greenberg says it won't be easy. UConn's just been routing everybody. You saw it in the first few minutes of that game against Miami. You knew, okay, UConn's huge. They're big. They're athletic. I don't know what San Diego State will have for them tonight.
And granted, we get most of the Big 12 flavor, but UConn's a 4 seed, but all of the experts were saying UConn was a potential win. Look at the women's side. LSU was a 3 seed with 2 losses. So I don't know what the seeding committee's been up to, but
you can't seed like you used to. Not with, how many games did LSU win last year in Mulkey's first year? 6? It was ridiculous. Just go out, hit the transfer portal.
Did you guys see Coach K's thoughts on people saying there's no blue bloods in the Final Four? Old Coach K thinks UConn really should be considered a blue blood. They've got four titles since '99. Well, and with what Coach Calhoun was able to do there and what he was able to build, he built one of the greatest programs, and that's been a big factor in being a blue blood. 4 titles since '99. It's more than KU has since that time.
So isn't that a funny thing? It's the same with UConn, UMass. I always thought UConn was Alaska. UMass, we have not heard of anything since John Calipari. So that's another one where you did have a coach come in. They're a nobody football school. And then on the women's side, obviously. But we know UConn because of basketball.
Aaron always makes me root for teams. Go San Diego State. Go San Diego.
I'm all on board with the Aztecs. Let's get it rolling. First Final Four
there
appearance.
You go,
first
sounds
champion.
of the past 24 hours. Okay, other sports news from the weekend. This will go back to Friday. Panther baseball picking up a couple of wins over Hutchinson, 13-3, 16-6. Tyler Stulsatz stayed hot, 3 hits in game 1, triple and a double. Good bounce back for the Panthers.
Stulzats is an athletic guy. We saw it on the basketball court, and it's translating onto the diamond.
Panthers softball team. Now, I saw this young lady's grandfather. He was stalking me yesterday, walking by my house, waiting for me to come out and leave.
Did he have a bat?
No.
Man needs a life is all I got to say. He's talking Steve. Mr. Webster is up in
Catherine Mazook is his granddaughter.
Ah.
A game-tying 3-run homer in the bottom of the 7th. Now, they didn't win it. That was the only bad thing wrong, but she's just a freshman, man. She was locked in.
It was an incredible hit by Mazook, and she had some nice hits before that leading up to it. I think a couple of them were caught. They were into the outfield, but what a swing, and just in the moment of freshmen stepping up there. And they've got a couple of freshmen who play for the Lady Panthers. Denver Ringo is another one whose hitting was very nice. But goodness gracious, what a way to start a career for Mazook. And you know that last name, Mazook, it's familiar around here, so potentially another one coming up in Great Bend softball.
Yeah, but Denver Ringo's like the greatest high school name ever. We got to get her into the highlights.
It's up there.
No, her father has the best name of all, Mike.
I think there's a couple of those.
Lady Panthers 1-3. Barton baseball, they're just rolling through the Jayhawk League. 30-3 now. They sweep Pratt in a 4-game series. The schedule's been kind of lined up for them a little bit here, but they will start a 4-game series against Seward County coming up on Thursday. They have Tabor JV, which will be their biggest challenge probably of the season, coming up tomorrow. But Brent Biggs and company off to a great start, 11-1 in conference right now. Cougar softball team, they're hot too. They've won 5 straight, 9 of 10. They went to Liberal and run-ruled Seward County over the weekend, 10-1 and 8-0. And Lady Panthers won the track meet at Junction City. Boys finished second. Mike Corson will be talking about that with the head coach, Laz Lashley, coming up here on the show. Yes?
We enjoyed having the swimmers in last week, so we got another state qualifying team. One of the other relays went out and smoked the qualifying time. It didn't even make sense. We'll have to talk to Coach later this week to see how you beat it that bad.
In one of your first meets, especially.
Yeah, so they qualified one relay first meet out, another relay the second meet out. 3 of the same kids, but
strong times.
Yeah, this last Thursday at campus was way faster than the qualifying time. So that's a very good news.
I think that first one they qualified was about 2 seconds under the qualifying time, which pretty all right for a relay, but I don't know, Panther swim, we've been strong, or they've been strong in the past, but
not at the state level. That's what.
Not always at the
state
state level.
I mean, we saw that in boys swimming this year. You know, not just getting 9th and 10th, but getting up there and getting in that final race. You know, not the consolation bracket race.
Yeah, and the team scores there. Campus blew everybody out to 6A school, but they also dive. So Great Bend and Campus were alone 1-2, and Great Bend didn't dive. That's why that score was that way.
Hail to the WNIT champions, Kansas Jayhawks. 17 points for Tiana Jackson. 21 rebounds. 4th consecutive double-double. 23rd of the season. KU beat Columbia 66-59.
Looked like a nice crowd showed up for that one, too.
What'd they end up getting? Did you see the final?
Didn't see, but yeah, it was a nice progression as the games kept getting a little bit bigger.
Grady Dick's going to the NBA. Why?
I
mean, he's getting a pretty good endorsement deal right now. I mean, for being in college.
This is going to be a name from a little ways back, but it reminds me of Ben McLemore. Back in the day, he was a one and done, and I thought he could have done with a little more, even just one more year of refinement, really. That way kind of maybe work your way more into being the guy for KU, where this year they had Jalen Wilson for Grady Dick. But I don't know. It could work out for him. He's a very talented player, but I would have liked to see him come back to Lawrence for at least one more.
I mean, is he a lottery pick?
I don't know if he's a lottery. I have seen him as a first round, but in the NBA, there's only 2 rounds. First round is not always a lock to be a talented multi-year contract.
As a shooter, he might excel with the NBA's defense versus who knows.
Well, that's all they do, shoot 3, so why get better on going inside? That's why you watch the women's Final Four, so you can see all the skills that
in high school
go into basketball. Oh, and Grant McCaslin, Texas Tech's new men's basketball coach. Anything else? One more sec.
You brought up Jim Nance earlier. He's actually going to be hanging up the headset for college basketball after this Final Four. He will have called 354 college basketball games, but he'll keep doing golf and NFL football. Just want to spend some more time with his family during the long college basketball season.
More time with the family. Then he'll come back here another year.
He's got friends everywhere.
Yeah.
Hello.
Oh, that was a great call the other night. Okay, we're going to take a quick break, get an update on state numbers from State Track. Jim Azunas is in, and Lars Lashley here on Sports Day, Monday edition on KVGB.
Therapy and Sports Rehab. Dr. Dan is Barton County's only board-certified clinical specialist in orthopedic physical therapy. No matter your age, when it hurts, he will help. Call Dan at 620-282-4825. That's 282-4825. Excellence-driven, unrivaled results. Catalyst Therapy and Sports Rehab. Inside the Fieldhouse at 9th and Madison in Great Bend.
Great Bend Appliance, Furniture, and Sleep Source, your local Whirlpool dealer, is holding an income tax layaway sale. Pick out what you want, put it on layaway, and pay it off when you get your tax refund. Choose from Whirlpool washers and dryers, stoves, refrigerator, and freezers. Buy a big screen HD TV, new recliners, beds, and furniture galore. Pick it out today, put it on layaway, and pay it off when you get your tax refund. Get all the details at Great Bend Appliance, Furniture, and Sleep Source, your local Whirlpool dealer at 10th and Morton.
Venture Corporation is a homegrown company with almost 50 years of experience in asphalt, paving, and construction, and they need equipment operators, mechanics, and CDL drivers. Venture offers many benefits, including 401k and Blue Cross Blue Shield health insurance. Call Leslie for all the details. Work for a family-owned and family-oriented company that is here today and will be here in the future. Venture Corporation, South Highway 281, Great Bend, is an equal opportunity employer.
Now, in its second decade, it's Sports Day on 1590 KVGB and 95.5 FM. Presented by Barton Community College and the Cougar Athletic Department.
Everything is good again. I look through the plexiglass here that is bulletproof to my co-host on the other side, and I see Mike Hesher smiling. He's back with us today. Great Trading Post show today, too. People were glad that you were back.
And I was glad to be back. I was tired of watching the Waltons. I had my, the shows to watch during the day. It was rather boring.
Well, I'm glad to have you back.
I'm glad to be
running the camera and everything
Not
else.
doing a very good job of that, I might add. But I guess that explosion on 10th Street a couple of weeks ago kind of messed things up around here.
That's, an understatement. Mike Corson in with us. I was going to ask Connor Nickel to be our KVGB track and field insider, and Mike Corson informed me that you're already doing this you've done it for a while now.
Yeah, so I go through every single meet around the state, and we find the top 16 kids from all classes, all events. And then once regionals are announced, we kind of link that in so coaches and kids can go in and look at our rankings and see how their regional is stacked up.
It's really good stuff, too. And if you go to GreatBendPost.com, you'll see Mike's expanded his work here as well, doing a lot of the write-ups for Great Bend High School. Really appreciate that, Mike. And, okay, top performances here. We're early in the season, but some of the best in the state we've had so far.
Yeah, so when I'm doing the 3,200, which is basically the 2-mile, to rank them, you have to have the numbers, and so you have to put a 0-9 to get the 9 kids ahead of the 10 kids. So usually 5A will fill up pretty fast with 9-minute kids. Class 3A this year, if you remember from state cross country, our guy that said, the Lord has just tied together a team of brothers who long for humility and love, but also long to run fast. So Wichita Trinity Junior Clay Shively runs the 2 mile in 8:50, which I believe
8:50
is going to put him at number 2 all-time in Kansas first meet of the season.
What's the best all-time?
I think he's got about 7 seconds to go. And that
What? That's like what? We'd figure, what, 64, 65 second quarter?
yeah, times 8. So you can go and look at the quarters. The elite kids are running well below that, but most of us aren't going to sniff a 65, let alone 8 of them.
And he is a what year in school?
He's just a junior.
Wow.
So getting into, we have never seen Jim Ryan ran the only high school 4-minute mile in 1965. 1980, you had a kid run 4:06 basically. 4:07 has been done several times, 2017, 2021. So Shively has a 4:10.08 last year. So by the time he gets, quote, into form, maybe he'll threaten that this year. And just as a note here, Class 3A mile race last year was kind of the big race of the meet. So Southeast of Saline's Dylan Sprecher ran a 4:14, and he beat Shively by 2 seconds. So now Sprecker's at Pitt State. Shively's time, his problem is going to be 3A is not going to give him any competition, but he will be racing the clock for sure.
Anything will he stand out around the Golden Belt?
Obviously, the Great Bend girls got second at state last year. High expectations for them. Their 4x4 came out at Junction City. It's going to be probably a top 3 time around Class 5A early on, and there's probably some stuff to work on. The big one, though, in Class 5A, crazy stuff happened. So Quincy Hubert was the Mill Valley State champion. She's at Nebraska now. So she graduates, and then they would have moved up to 6A anyway. It was time for Sadie Spray and Mackenzie Premer to shine. Well, here comes this girl from Wellington. She's, I think, a 2-time state champ out of 4A, moves to Hutchinson. No worries, Hutchinson's a 6A school. Except they switched places with Mill Valley, the only school to drop down to 5A this year. And she is now the state leader in both hurdle events. Let me look here. Her 100 hurdle time ranks 13th all-time in Kansas. And her 300 is not exceptional in the history of the state, but it's by far the fastest in Kansas this spring. Great Bend's going to host their meet on Friday, April 14th. Andale came last time. We had to move the javelin throwers over to the soccer field because they throw 200 plus. So the one girl, Mackenzie Fairchild, she's graduated. She's, I think, at Texas A&M, so her sister's still throwing. So she comes out first meet of the season, throws 150-10.
Wow.
So looking at her sister was number 2 all-time. Guess who was number 3? Somebody that you covered.
I covered.
Kendra Wecker.
Girl could do everything.
So number 2 all-time, her sister was a 175.4, so she needs about 20 feet to really get into the elite. But this was the first meet of the year. We don't know what the wind was doing, and we think she will come here. She's also an excellent discus and shot put thrower. And if you see her shoulders like cannonballs, it is unbelievable what Andale does. The other one, so at last year's meet, Great Bend's 4x4 drops the baton. We got a freshman running the final leg. Kara Feist catches up to Maggie Schrant, beats her, so then they tied with Andale for the meet. Andale's ran a 4:09 their first 4x4 out, and Great Bend's at a 4:14. But Schrant is back. She leads Class 4A in the 400-meter dash. But Feist is running like a 63 split in the 4x4, setting up another awesome race if you stick around for the final event next Friday in Great Bend.
You're looking forward to that already.
It's always cold, so we're hoping for some nice weather. And we've got nice weather now that there's not a meet. We always like track, you can have some of the 1A kids shine. Dighton senior Max Neely goes 15.4 in the pole vault. So that's by far the state lead. He was only at 14.6 at state last year, and he's already at 15.4. Needs to get over 16 to really break into the top 20 all time. And then we mentioned the Andale senior Riley Marks, topped out at 2:09.9 last year. He's already at 2:02.1 on the javelin this year.
Okay, Mike Corson bringing us the updates, and Mike, you'll be in here every Monday to give us the track and field update. It's going to be track day on Monday.
Yeah, and it'll get better. Some other lists will come out and kind of put things into perspective, but this was my digging around, so always a hustle to get these first 2 weeks up and running.
Good work, Mike Horson, with us here on Sports Day. Jim Azunas checking in next as we'll talk about a big sports weekend that's on the way here on Sports Day.
Hey everyone, this is Cole Ryan, voice of the Barton Cougars. Attending sporting events for Barton Community College is great, but did you know you can support the athletic teams even further by getting involved with the Cougar Booster Club? The Boosters help with fundraising for equipment and facility upgrades to give Barton athletes every opportunity to keep succeeding at the regional and national levels. Join the Cougar Booster Club as an individual or business. Call 620-792-9377. Become a booster today. Go Cougars.
When you or someone you care for needs extra healthcare help at home, Golden Belt Home Health and Hospice, part of the University of Kansas Health System, is here for you. Depending on your needs, your home health team may include a nurse, therapist, and aide. They'll help with care after hospitalization, including wound care, medication management, and more. Check with your primary care provider to see if Golden Belt Home Health and Hospice can help you or your loved one.
When it's time to replace your old windows and doors, call your local Pella certified contractor, Empire Improvements. With a full line of Pella windows and door options, including affordable vinyl, durable fiberglass, and luxurious wood, Empire Improvements has an option for any taste or budget. No matter what Pella window or door you choose, you'll know it was installed right by a Pella trained and certified contractor. For the best warranty in the business, call Empire Improvements in Great Bend today at 620-603-0872. He's a veteran of high school and college sports coverage in Kansas. Sports Day presents the Great Bend Tribune's Jim Azunas.
Jim Azunas in with us on a Monday here on Sports Day. A lot of track and field talk. And you saw some softball and baseball here at the end of last week too, Jim.
Yeah, the Great Bend Sports Complex is unique because you can watch baseball and softball side by side about 100 yards apart at the same time. So it's a lot of fun. And both teams really perform really at a high level. Great Bend graduated 8 starters on their baseball team. I was really impressed by freshman through senior. I mean, they have every class contributing. Really impressed by that. I mean, that's going to be a team that's going to get better just simply because they haven't played a lot of varsity baseball, but Randy Beck played three different starters in the second game, so he's given like 12 different players a chance to see what they can do. Like Daxton Minton goes a perfect game in the first game. He doesn't play the second game. He drives in 4 runs, sitting on the bench the second game. So somebody else has to come in, and Ian Premers looks good, and some other guys off the bench look really good. It's nice to have that depth just because in the spring you just never know when a guy could, he pitch a couple innings and goes out, and then you got to switch shortstops or switch somebody in the infield. So it's a nice luxury to have. Yeah, I was really impressed by Great Bend's baseball and how well they played because Hutchinson, I think they had 6 or 7 starters back. It was the coaching debut for Mace Kroll, who I've known since he was born, since he graduated from Nickerson, and the sons were in the same class forever. So I've known Mace since he was born, and it was a tough debut for Hutchinson High baseball coach Mace Kroll.
And then the softball game. It's good to see Lady Panthers break out 17 runs in the second game, but a big dramatic home run by Catherine Mazouk.
Great Bend didn't win a home game for softball until the last home game, which they would have missed postseason, which again is a silly thing that the state does. Is, hey, let's not let you we'll let you play 20 games, but you're not going to play postseason. Well, anyway, Great Bend ended up beating TMP in the last game, so they did get to postseason, albeit they had to play Wichita Carroll, which is a tough task. But, yeah, it was pretty impressive. Again, the younger players stepped right in. Freshman Denver Ringo's looking like a very good third baseman. And it was as excited as I've seen Great Bend softball in years because they're down 5-2. They're down their last couple outs, and Catherine Mazouk hits a 3-run homer. It's unbelievable. I mean, and then they had the winning run on base in the 7th and 8th innings, but weren't able to pull it off. But they kept that momentum in the second game, which you like to see. You like to see that confidence build, and certainly they had a lot of problems scoring runs last year at times, and then defensively they weren't as sharp. But, if they play like they did Friday, they're going to be very competitive in the WAC.
Okay, and then Barton baseball. They'll get into the tougher part of their schedule here, but at least so far, usually in the Jayhawk, I mean, it's going to be pretty balanced. I mean, it's going to be hard to put together. But Barton's 11-1 so far, 30-3 overall. Woo, we may have something special cooking. We'll find out a little bit more about them this week. They take on Seward in a 4-game series. But, wow, what a start by Biggs and company out there.
Yeah, talk about reloading, because they had a fantastic season last year and then didn't perform very well in the postseason tournament, give up a bunch of runs, and ended up bowing out. But, yeah, that's pretty impressive. You go through that league. 'Cause, again, you're only as good as your starting pitching and then your relief pitching, and obviously they're getting some great pitching. Go 11-1 in the conference is not easy to do.
Watch women's basketball over the weekend?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, watched Friday night and then Sunday. Yeah,
what did you think of Friday night? That was incredible.
It was about as good a women's game as I think I've ever seen. And it's hard to remember. Connecticut was dominating there for years, and Tennessee was dominating. So there wasn't a lot of competition as far as 1 through 10, and now there's quite a bit of competition. But yeah, Caitlin Clark, Ava Jones from Nickerson, and her crew, they went down to Houston, which was nice. And she met some of the Iowa folks, and they welcomed her down there. And she really enjoyed her time down there. So she's signed with Iowa, and will have a long road to try and participate with the Iowa basketball team. But she was welcomed by the Hawkeyes, and obviously they're thrilled to get to the championship game like they did.
Caitlin Clark, the best player you've ever seen?
If you put her and Noelle side by side, those are the two best players in the NCAA tournament without a doubt. I mean, because Noelle did the same thing on the men's side, just rave reviews for the performance. And, yeah, Caitlin Clark certainly.
Nothing against Noelle, but he turned it over.
Well, he did
Clark
turn it over.
Clark did.
Well, she did turn it over because she throws the pass that her player, sometimes you're going to turn it over through not your fault. I mean, the turnovers are going to happen when you have the ball. But, yeah, it reminded me, I said, that's the best player I've seen since Jackie Stiles. And that's what my thought was, is that that's the best I've seen a player play since Stiles was playing for Southwest Missouri. But, yeah, tremendous range, 3-point, and just a gift of knowing what pass to throw at what time. And had the foul trouble not got to them, they certainly would have been a lot closer. I mean, when you shoot 9 of 12 on 3-pointers in the first half and a gal goes 5 for 5, here's how you end the first half, with a bank 3-pointer. Here's how you end the game, with a bank 3-pointer. They weren't going to win that game, but it would have been a lot more fun if it had been closer. But, yeah, it was astounding, the 3-point percentage that LSU put up.
Lindsay Whalen, Minnesota. Best women's player I ever saw.
Yeah, she was a real versatile player, too.
But
could do it all.
I put Caitlin.
Caitlin was just amazing. It was just amazing.
That was just great entertainment on Friday night.
Yeah, Friday night was, again, it's the best women's game I've seen. And, of course, Kansas State wanted Iowa to win the championship because guess who beat Iowa during the December? Kansas State women beat them. So it would have been fun to say, hey, we beat the national champion.
And they would have.
But anyway, it just shows you the parity that's really true in women's basketball that hasn't been that case. Is Kansas State was a second division team in the Big 12, and they beat a team playing in the national championship game.
And KU wins the WNIT.
Yeah, that was amazing. That was tremendous. Again, it shows you that there was some depth in the Big 12. And, yeah, it's nice to go to that secondary tournament and do something about it. Yeah, that was tremendous for the University of Kansas women's basketball program.
And you beat an Ivy League school.
Yeah, they're smart over there, but obviously they don't have the basketball players.
All right, Jim, what else you got today?
Well, the track season got going. Oh, yeah, Ellenwood baseball's off to a 3-1 start. So Roger Ward's got 3 wins. They won 3 games last year. They're off to a nice start. And Larned baseball, softball both got off to a 2-0 start. Same with Larned softball. 2 wins maybe last year, and they got 3 wins already. They split with Buckland. And Hoisington softball, baseball both swept too. So the Hoisington Larned baseball, softball teams are off to a nice start. And that's good to see. I mean, it's good to see that they're going to be competitive. And I didn't doubt for a second Hoisington softball would, but Hoisington baseball was down to their last 2 innings that were down 4-0, came back and scored 6 runs, and then won the game on a home run by Tony Moore. So pretty exciting the way they started the season.
And Larned's got some numbers this year.
Yeah, it's nice to have lacrosse. I'm not sure what's the distance from lacrosse to Larned.
As a crow flies, probably, I don't know, 30 miles.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, 30. So, but, you know, Stafford's driving to Ellenwood every day for baseball, softball, too. So those co-op programs are great. It bumps up Larned to 4A, but, hey, Caden Morgan's a good pitcher, and we know that Larned baseball is going to be competitive under Coach Irway. So, yeah, it's fun to see. Those co-op programs are really a blessing to the small schools.
Yep, Great Bend getting off to a great start in track and field. Girls win it, run easily at Junction City, and the boys finish second. So, good start there.
Yeah, it was a good start. You always like to have the relays, and the girls' side, they're going to have some tremendous relays, and I think the boys are rounded into shape, too. They've got two outstanding runners in Madison Regier and Caden Esfeld, so they got two standouts to sort of anchor that boys' team. Another side was Tiger Alec Carlson, who was going to sign with Colby. I don't know whether he signed with Colby for basketball. He won 4 events in the first meet down at Kinsley, so he got off to a nice start, too. And then Maxville didn't have any first place, but they had a bunch of second place down at Meade, and their boys are off to a fast start, too, in the track season.
Very good. Jimbo, thanks. We'll talk to you next Monday.
You're welcome.
Jim Mizunas with us here on Sports Day.
From the Mayo Money Management Studios, 1590 KVGB, Great Bend, and 95.5 FM K238CK, Hoisington.
If you need physical therapy, consider Advanced Therapy in Great Bend and Progressive Therapy in Larned and Hayes.
Hi, my name is Dalton Jones, a patient that I helped. She came in with chronic back pain that she'd been having for years. After several weeks of showing her exercises, several different interventions, we were able to get her back to where she can do her shopping without leaning on the shopping cart at all.
You don't need to hurt. Physical therapy can help. Call Advanced or Progressive Therapy and Sports Medicine to explore your treatment options and get your life back.
Some of us were born to farm. Some diesels, like Cenex Premium Diesel, were born to fuel. Cenex Ruby Fieldmaster comes with a more complete additive package for a more complete burn to reduce particulate matter and keep filters cleaner for longer. Fuel your equipment like a pro with Cenex Ruby Fieldmaster and leave typical number 2 diesel to the amateurs. Cenex Premium Diesel. Diesel that doesn't mess around.
Contact American Plains Co-op in Great Bend, your certified Cenex distributor today.
Sports Day presents On the Prowl with Mike Corson, an inside look at all the sports taking place at Great Bend High School.
Welcome back to Sports Day, 1590 KVGB 95.5 FM. Mike Corson, joined today by Panther track and field coach Lyles Lashley. How you doing, Coach?
Doing good. Yourself?
Pretty good. Let's go back to Friday, Junction City. Knew it was going to be windy, but did you guys anticipate the rain and hail you got, or how did that affect it?
It wasn't really affected very much, but it just was kind of a shocker. We're kind of warming up right before the field event started, and all of a sudden it started hailing. It really wasn't raining. It started hailing first, then it started raining just a little bit. It wasn't too bad. It was kind of interesting.
I'm going to start off with the hurdle events. Obviously, we've got 2 great hurdles in Stady Spray and Mackenzie Premer, but can't catch a break. Mill Valley's Quincy Hubert's up at Nebraska now. She was probably the best in the state last year. Then Annalisa Collins moves from Wellington to Hutch. You guys got to see her Friday. How awesome is that 5A hurdle field this year?
Yeah, that girl's pretty good. She's dang good. So, yeah, it'll be fun year to watch the hurdles in 5A.
And Premer goes second in the 100s and third in the 300s, and Sadie went second in the 300s. Over to your high jumpers, obviously we expect Sadie Spray and Valerie Luna, state medalists, to do well, and they went 5-2, take first and second. I thought a nice surprise was Cassie Elligood at 5-0.
Yeah, for those girls to go 5-2, jumping into a 40-mile-per-hour wind, and then for Cassie to join the 5-foot club into that win, I thought was quite impressive.
And Cassie's a pretty tall girl. She got a pretty big ceiling on her this year.
I think she actually had a really good jump at 5'2" also. She clipped it on the way down. So, yeah, I think she has got a chance to do some good things.
We'll go back over to the track. Eliana Beckham, first place in the 800 by 8 seconds. Thought that was going to be a really solid time, and then I saw some of the Eastern Kansas scores, but first meet out, lots of wind. She's first, got Kate Welcher third, Ella Good in fourth. How about that group?
Yeah, they competed well. The whole thing on Friday was just competing well. We weren't worried about times. Unless you run the 100, it really didn't affect the 200. It helped you a little bit, but then the rest was you don't get back what you give into the wind in track. I remember my college coach telling me that many years ago, but he was definitely right. I mean, it was even in the 4x1s in that backstretch. It looked like people were crawling.
4x4, obviously the state champs, probably a top 3 time in 5A, and I know time's not a real big deal, but really all 3 relays pretty solid. Like to see that first meet out.
Yeah, I mean, I thought the 4x4 would compete really well. 4x1, we didn't have the best sticks, but we were a little rusty coming out of that. And then the 4x8, we didn't compete as well as I'd like to. We had a couple of girls compete, a couple of girls that just I think were kind of feeling sorry for themselves a little bit running in the wind, and we got definitely some room for improvement there.
Back in the field side, Kendall Blessing was your big thrower, javelin winner, and fifth in the shot put. And I know you guys have a lot of potential in the javelin, and even have a freshman stepping up there. Expect some of those girls to kind of get back once the weather settles down.
Yeah, we're missing Macy Mount because she was sick, and so we're missing a few girls for being sick, and then a couple of my distance girls are banged up. So we're missing four big hitters for us. So getting Macy back in the jab will definitely help us. And then Marissa Boone is coming off an injury from the indoors from the winter conditioning season, so she'll be back here in a few weeks, and then. We've got Sienna Smith back, too. She's just a little banged. She could have run, but we were just being precautionary. She'll help us on that 4x8 a lot. So definitely, having Macy back will help us in that JAV. And then, hopefully those girls in the discus, we've got some freshman girls that did some really good things at the JV meet in the shot, too, that'll step up and be on the varsity level this week. Actually at Pre-State. Their first varsity meet will be at Pre-State. So, we'll get to see some girls compete.
And even shorthanded, you guys were able to win up there. Boys side, the big one that stuck out for me was Madison in the hurdles. So he wins both hurdle events and gets a silver medal in the 4x4. But that 300 time, especially given the conditions, how impressive was that?
It was not because he pretty much even split that thing. I mean, he went out 20 point, came back in 20 point, and he, his hard work's paid off for him. I was glad to see that, too. He got a little life lesson in the 4x4, but he'll live and learn from that one. But then the guys, I think our 4x1, too, is going to do a lot better, too. We just had some bad sticks there, too. So a little rust we're going to dig off, and we got some pretty good legs on there. And then, so, yeah, but other than that, I thought Madison had a great, great day.
Talking to Panther track and field coach Lyles Lashley. In the field, some nice ones. A couple golds. Oliver Dominguez won the triple jump by 10 inches. Is going to be one of the top marks first week in 5A. Know he was banged up at the end of last year. How pleased to see him come out strong.
It was nice seeing him because the kid that he beat from Solana had jumped 45 feet on Tuesday. So, they kind of jumped into a cross headwind. So I was really impressed, especially being as skinny as he is, and him going into the wind there. I was impressed.
And talk about javelin throwers. Matthew Mader wins by 13 feet at 164. Plus, it's going to be one of the top in 5A after a week. Expect that this early.
Yeah, I mean, we got a new javelin this year, so I think he was excited to throw that thing. It was a nice little headwind javelin too, so he got excited and put one out there. So it was a good start for him.
Back on the track, I think Caden Sharman wanted to get under 11, and I know there's some wind behind him, but goes 11:01. Does he build off that?
Yeah, I thought that. He came back around a nice 200. I think that's a great start for him. Wind or no wind, it was definitely a great start. So hopefully he gets under 11 here soon, which I definitely think he will.
And maybe one more. We always expect big things out of Caden Esfeld. Pair of silvers in the 800 and the 1600. He was running against a good Tonganoxie kid.
Yeah, he'd come off a huge sickness. He was sick last weekend, and had just not making an excuse for him because he definitely would never do that. But because the Tonganoxie kid's really good, But he, I think he was a little disappointed, but he's in really good shape. So I expect to hear either this week or next week for him to put a pretty good effort out there.
So the Lady Panthers win at Junction City. The boys second. Where do you go this week?
We'll take a lot of our varsity kids, our top-end varsity kids to pre-state in Wichita, get the chance to get kids to get some really good schools, always at the Wichita State meet. And then we'll take our second-line varsity kids and our JV kids to the Pratt varsity meet on Friday also. So we'll kind of have a split squad this week, but gives us a chance for our JV kids to compete at that varsity level. It's a smaller school meet, and have a chance to see how they stand against some varsity kids. And then our ones that go to pre-state, they get the chance to compete at the state meet facility. So it's nice for them to go there.
Fun to see some results. If you go over to GreatBendPost.com, I've put up a list of area leaders, a lot of Great Bend kids in there, so good luck this week.
Thanks, Joe. Thanks all you did for track, Mike.
No problem. More sports day after this.
Attention Kansas high schoolers. Barton Community College wants to help you get ahead in your education and save money with new early college online savings. Starting March 20th, pay only $75 per credit hour on any Barton online course. That's a savings of up to $80. All online classes are eligible, including career technical and general education. Learn more at bartoncc.edu/earlycollege.
At Next Tech Wireless, we know how important it is to stay connected. You can keep the whole family connected without breaking the bank. Now you can get up to 1, 2, 3, 4 lines for $100. And that's not all. Bring your number to us and get a $100 Visa gift card. Only at Next Tech Wireless, home on the range.
It's Sports Day on 1590 KVGB and 95.5 FM. Presented by Barton Community College and the Cougar Athletic Department.
Welcome back. Sports Day here on KVGB. Steve Webster, Aaron Clark, and Mike Hesher is back today. So, Hesh, we've got these HIPPO laws.
Yes.
So, but everybody was really worried about you. And I heard everything from heart attack to monkeypox.
I heard this in Hoisington a couple days ago that I was on life support for a while.
So what happened?
I had a pneumonia. It was not bacterial. Something, a foreign substance got into my lung, and it went from there. So it was crazy. I did 2 basketball games on a Tuesday night. I did Trading Post. Got off the air at 10 o'clock on a Wednesday. By 10:30, I'm in the University of Kansas Health Emergency Room. And then they sent me to Hayes.
So what would you tell people?
About what?
If you diagnose yourself with dehydration, it might be something else?
Well, this was something else. I didn't diagnose myself on this one. This one was, yeah.
I remember you came back and were telling us that you were just dehydrated.
This was not this time. That was before.
Oh, was that the...
That was
the weekend that you slept the entire...
Yeah. Well, okay. I'm sorry.
It's great to have you back.
Well, it's good to be back.
It's always when you get somebody that you don't realize what they do until...
Just didn't feel right without him.
Well, that too. And, we missed you, Mike.
Well,
so
as
glad
I said, there's so many people to thank that it's not even funny.
Including the young lady at the emergency room?
The emergency room young guy, married to the guy I used to play some racquetball with. She knew when I walked in that I was not in good shape. So, and then my daughter's bosses, allowing her to work remotely a couple of weeks was huge. And they live in Olathe, so they're not going to know, but they were big in allowing my daughter to stay with me.
Good to have you back, Ash.
Thank you, sir.
Aaron Clark, thanks for coming back in for the end of the show here on Sports Day.
Yeah, thrilled to be here.
This is Agriculture Today, and I'm Samantha Bennett with the